Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally taking part in a video idea I've had for so long, but I've been putting it off for years because I was like, I need to meet more people. But you know what, I'm just gonna do one today, and then if I want to update this video, I'll do one in a few months time or whatever. I'm just gonna bloody do it. Sorry, I know that you guys hate when I fill my cups up really high like this, giving you anxiety. Today's video is going to be a fun little silly game where I basically, is it a game? I don't know, but I'm basically going to be giving my own personal reviews of each star sign. Obviously everything I say is supposed to be subjective in this video, so the whole point of this video is to step outside of the normal stereotypes that people usually place on different star signs. And although I probably might repeat some, and there might be some things that I say that are generic for the star sign, but the point is mainly to just say things that I actually believe firsthand, because I feel like we're told Geminis are two-faced, we're told Cancers cry all the time, we're told Aquarius people aren't capable of loving other people. But like, I thought it would be fun to sit and talk about my own experience and what I've actually learned about each star sign. Some things that I've learned on my own. I actually think this is the best way to go about astrology. I know this is a little bit controversial, but we rely too much on what we're told, and I think actually I seem to do really well with predicting other people's behavior depending on their star sign from things that I've worked out that certain star signs do. Because you can put someone in a box of being greedy, for example, but then having experience with a star sign that may be typically greedy, you tend to find kind of more layers beyond that. So you realize actually they're not greedy, they're just very hardworking people, or they're very persistent, or they like the more luxurious things in life, and that's okay. So I would love it if you guys could join this conversation as well and leave any things that you've personally noticed about certain star signs in the comment section below, particularly if they are things that you feel not many other people say. There are a couple star signs that I don't actually know many people having. If any of you want to audition to be my friend, if you're any of these star signs, then please do, because I need all of the chart in my life. And speaking of, I'm actually going to start with a star sign which I would say I know the least about, or one of the least about, and that's Virgo. I don't know many Virgos, I haven't really got close to many Virgos, but I think that itself tells me a little bit about Virgos, because I feel like I'm quite a complex person to get to know, in the sense of it takes me a while to open up to other people. I am quite a slow grower, what I would call a slow grower friend. It takes me a while to finally like make effort with certain people. I don't know, I'm one of those people that just sort of need to warm to you, get to understand how you work, and then I commit, you know? And the funny thing about Virgos is I just feel like they're not there for that kind of life. Wherever you go, whatever you do, whatever you, like, conversations you have with them, I feel like they're always talking about purpose, being somewhere for a purpose, doing something for a purpose. For me, I felt that the Virgo in the room is almost looking to hit two birds with one stone when you're doing something with them. So if you want to meet up with Virgo, they might want to also meet up with another friend, or make the most of the fact that you'll be in town together so they could also pick up something that they've wanted to pick up in town, or it makes sense for later because you guys can do something like, they're good. I would say they're good like organizers. I feel like not all Virgos are as organized as people make them out to be, but when they do, they're like, you know, it needs to go this way. And if someone like gets in and like messes with that, they're like, what you've just said there doesn't make sense, this makes sense because boop 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 boop. They also might find like if a relationship doesn't benefit them, or if like their career doesn't benefit them, or if there isn't like multiple purposes behind certain things they're doing, they'll just be like, bye. I think I've explained that right. Let me know if you understand what I mean, or if you don't. Next on my list here is Taurus. Where do I begin with Taurus? Taurus has always been one of my favorite star signs. I always rave about Tauruses all the time. When I very first discovered star signs and I really got into that sort of world, I realized how many people were Taurus in my life. I naturally seemed to gravitate towards Taurus people, or Taurus people naturally gravitated towards me, and it blew my mind when I read that my star sign, Cancer, is the most suitable with Taurus people. They're deep chatters. Taurus people love to chat shit about the world, about life, about conspiracy theories, about their own faith, their own beliefs, their future. Maybe it's just a Taurus and Cancer thing, so bear in mind everything that I say is maybe coming from a Cancer point of view. I've sat in a field looking at a nice view, or I've sat late at night, like 4 a.m, with so many Tauruses before. They will chat over a campfire, they'll chat over a glass of wine or whiskey. To me, Taurus people are just interesting. They have a lot of interesting things to say, and they are also very tunnel visioned people. They're quite stubborn natured, and so you can't talk them out of anything. You might be able to talk them into something, but still, even then, it's a bit of a push. Some of my most long-term friends that I have are Taurus. They are the kinds of people who would check in on you on a regular basis, pop in after a few months of not chatting and being like, how are you? Like, they are consistent. You always know what you're gonna get with a Taurus. I feel like you don't get many surprises with a Taurus. They're not erratic people. They're quite predictable people, but in a really nice, secure way. And I think that's why as a Cancer, I like that, because Cancers like security. They like familiarity, they don't like change. Cancers also like to be loved, so you will be loved by a Taurus. They nurture you, they care for you, they know what makes you happy, they have the right things to say. Most of my celebrity role models are Taurus people, probably because obviously as a celebrity I don't know them personally, so the words they speak, the things they talk about, obviously I connect with as just a normal person through a screen or through whatever medium I'm watching them on. They have interesting things to say, they've got good topics to talk about, so once again that's easy to connect with, and therefore that makes me think they are very authentic. So they say things straight from the heart, like the things that they're passionate about, they are happy to speak about. I love watching people doing the things they enjoy. I love it when someone's face lights up when they're talking about their hobbies, and I feel like Taurus people do that quite a lot. I would say that Taurus people are like Cancers, but with more drive and bite and organizational skills. They're quite creative people and imaginative people, but not to the same extent as like a Pisces, for example, where they might be imaginative, but they don't actually ever do anything about it. Sagittarius. Speaking of star signs I don't know an awful lot about, if I look into why that might be, it makes me laugh, because one thing I have noticed about Sagittarius is they're travelers. Often you will find when you meet a Sagittarius, their birthplace will not be the place that you met them. Most Sagittariuses I've ever known are foreign to me and immigrated, or they're keen travelers, or they have some kind of obsession with another country. They really enjoy the culture from somewhere else in the world. To me, they seem the least materialistic star sign that I've ever come across too, because of the fact that they have that traveler way about them. They don't need a lot of stuff, they don't want a lot of stuff. If they do have a lot of stuff, I feel like later on in life they might discover that that's not what keeps them happy, and actually relocating and exploring is the thing that keeps their soul like lit. I found that most Sagittarius I've ever met, you know you're standing with them because they'll just like say it. They often ask questions which other people might miss. Like they're constantly not wanting more materialistically, but wanting more intelligently. See what's next, see what's the bigger picture, see what the whole meaning of everything is, you know what I mean? Sagittariuses, to me, they tend to never really be settled. They've got like a hunger for finding more. Okay, let's move on to Libra. Librans are, I mean, my mum's a Libra, so it's typical for me to say they're the mums of astrology, but they do have a very grounded energy. They are that mediator. I know it's typical for me to say they're a mediator, but they truly, truly are. They are someone who can set emotions aside for a bit to help a situation, to move a situation forward. Even if they don't really, truly understand, a Libra will always say to you like, oh, I get you. They don't actually get you, but they also do, because they're quite good at stepping into the shoes of someone that they've never even had any form of relation with. Like, they will be the first person to say, I can see how that would be tough given your situation. Gentle, peaceful people. Even in a protest, you'll find a Libra trying to push their own points by trying to truly understand the opposing side of the party. They will even try and get into the shoes of someone that they don't like or don't morally understand, etc., in order for them to at least bring themselves a little bit closer to how they wish things to be. I always say that in a pool of peaceful protests, you will probably find a big bunch of Librans. Don't ask a Libra what they think you should do, because you'll be there for like 3 hours. They won't be able to decide. If you're a bad decision maker, don't go shopping with a Libran. If you need help with what to pick, like, don't go bridesmaid dress shopping with a Libran. However, they might be really good at laying out the facts. So you could say to one, look, I'm stuck with this thing, what do you think I should do? And they'll give you a good like summary of all the things you need to consider, but they won't make the decision. That's down to you. Aries. Okay, I used to dislike Aries. I did the typical thing where you get put off a star sign because you dated them once and they broke your heart or whatever. I did that for a while, but only because they were the only Aries that I knew. I typically didn't have a lot of Arieses in my life, and an ongoing theme in this video is you've got to think about why, probably. Once again, Aries don't mess about. They're not necessarily here to stay. They are very fidgety. They get distracted by the next best thing, and he did exactly that, which is valid. It's a free country, do what you want. But it did break my little heart. Like, it was hard to see someone just get bored one day and be like, I'm off. But actually, I began meeting more Aries individuals. But these days, some of the most fun individuals that I know are Aries. Honestly, I don't really know what it is that makes an Aries go off people and like jump to the next best thing or not. You kind of just have to hope that you're enough for that individual, because if you are, they do stick around. They are loyal. They are, in fact, intensely loyal. Me as a Cancer, I feel as though I couldn't fulfill an Aries on my own. Like, I would rely on other sources that Aries has in their life to kind of get certain things from that they can't get with me, because I find Aries very adventurous. They are very up for a challenge, out of their comfort zone, which is something that a Cancer crab would not typically do. However, if there is something that I want to do, I will count on an Aries to come do that with me. They are fun individuals who just want to enjoy life and go with the flow. Can't really just think of a better word to describe them but fun. They're very zesty. They've got like a fun way of seeing life. There's not really a dull moment with an Aries. Like a Taurus might be a little bit dull, which is fine. I mean, I love predictability. An Aries, maybe not so much, but they're not dull. Aquarius. I hate the stereotype of Aquarians not being loyal lovers or not being someone who's capable of loving, because actually two of the closest individuals I have in my life, my best friend and my boyfriend of 5 years, are both Aquarians. Ironically, what they both have in common is their dedication and how loyal they are as people. Particularly my best friend, obviously, because I've known her longer. I would say that the problem is with what a lot of people think about an Aquarius is they have a few little, I don't want to say walls, I don't get the impression of walls, but they've got like some filters. They just need to trust you a little bit to properly let you in. And once you do go in, it's a great time. They are the freaks. They have quirks about themselves which you rarely see in many people, but they're the most proud of it than many other star signs. I would say that they're not going to hide their unique skills or their unique abilities or their own way of seeing life. I also feel like Aquarius people, they have a way of seeing the world that seems like to them it's missing something. Like every Aquarius that I've known has always said, I can't stand that the world's like this, I can't stand the planet's like this. Like I find them to be quite interested in, not necessarily politics, but they're likely to be reading up on something political or regarding a lifestyle that they believe is wrong or really right. I feel like Aquarians are most likely to feel as though there's something about them that isn't the same as everyone else. Like they're the type to like text you at 2 a.m. and be like, do you ever feel like you don't belong? They look at other people and other situations and just think, why? They're the type to be like, money isn't real, the government doesn't actually exist, which is why I think probably a lot of people find them hard to connect with emotionally, because if they're not like feeling you, if they're not truly getting your vibe and digging you, they're just gonna look at you from a distance and be like, however, if you are the kind of person they're looking for, if there's something about you that really gets them going, they're like, let's hang out all the time. They're like a moth to a flame. And the closer you get to a Aquarius, the weirder they get as well. If you think an Aquarius in your life is weird and you don't know them that well yet, like you've only known them for like 4 years, just wait, they get weirder. Next up is Pisces. Once again, I could have negative connotations to Pisces because I dated one once, but honestly, Pisces, when I think of a Pisces, I just want to go, they remind me of a Cancer crab without the shell. They are shellless, bare, vulnerable, fleshy, and I just want to protect them all. They might have a facade, they might have like a, you know, hard face they put on, or they might not show that they're emotional people, but you best believe me when I say they wake up and go through their day acting on nothing but feeling. They are, I would say, the least active. I think they like the simple things in life. I think they're quite similar in a sense to maybe a Taurus or maybe a Libra. They're quite content with little. They just like to feel good. If they feel emotionally good, if they're sat in their cozy home, you know, watching TV with the heating on, that's like, what else could they want? Oh, Pisces, they love music. Every Pisces I've ever known is not a music snob. Well, some could be music snob, but they couldn't exist without their music. And if they don't have that, then there'll be something else kind of similar. They might be like a really artsy-fartsy sort of person. Pisces can literally spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in their bedroom. I don't know necessarily doing what. It could be gaming, it could be literally just listening to music, it could be like binging TV. They could just do that for hours and just think nothing of it. They wouldn't ever regret spending years doing that either. You know, they're not going to go to their deathbed and be like, I wish I didn't spend all that time on my own, getting lost in my hobby. They'll be like, pure vibes that was. Next up is Cancer. That is I. Obviously I've got the best experience with this one because it's me. I'm a Cancer sun and moon, so through and through. We're not as emotional as people make out, as in erratically. Yes, I am emotional. I move forward in life through feeling, so I will always be in touch with how I feel, what the energy of the room's like, how my day feels in terms of emotion, whereas other people would be like, it's rainy outside or it's cold. I'll be like, the sun on the window is making me feel energized. And we kind of translate normal everyday like materialistic things into feelings and emotions. So when we hang out with friends and family, we will say that the day felt really warm and inviting, and we will remember that memory as like a feeling it gave us rather than like a visual representation or whatever other people do. We are like big balls of blue tack. No, I'd say we're more like sponges, and if you were to squeeze a sponge like that, put it underwater and let go, all the water will soak in. That's kind of us by the end of the day, and then like we kind of have to like slowly let that water back out, but then inevitably you have to let go and then more will come in. We basically can never be a dry sponge. Quite similar to a Pisces, Cancers romanticize everything too. They see things in the past through rose-tinted glasses. I found that I really romanticize things that happened even yesterday, a week ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But in the moment, I'm just like too busy dealing with the feelings that this experience has given me. So a lot of the time I do a lot of things, I take part in a lot of events, or like say yes to certain things with people, because I know in the future I will enjoy thinking back at that moment. You know, Cancers find it really hard to be in the present moment and just enjoy life as it's coming at them at that point. And so if I'm doing something that makes me anxious or nervous, in the moment I'm like stressing out about it, but I know that when I look back at that memory, I will get like super excited about the fact that I did it and I experienced it. Pisces, I feel like, are a little bit like that too, which makes them both struggle with moving on and starting a new leaf in life and letting things go. If you put a Pisces and a Cancer together as a relationship, they are like the most cheesy pairing ever, because if you put two people together who romanticize everything, they will take loads of pictures and, you know, have scrapbooks and memory boxes and gaze at them together and be like, oh, wasn't that a magical time? I would say they're quite predictable as well, creatures of habit. They're people who you might not see for like 10 years and then they'll tell you about their life and they won't have done anything too crazy. They'd likely maybe traveled a little bit, explored for a little bit in the middle of their life, but then they go back to their roots by the end of it, or go back to their childhood in some way or form, or some of them don't even end up going far from home at all. Capricorns, once again, I don't know a lot about Capricorns, purely because I don't think a lot of Capricorns would give me the time of day. I feel like they're quite similar to Virgos from what I've gathered. I actually feel like it would be quite rare to find a Capricorn doing the same thing as a Cancer, if I'm honest. I feel like they've got big plans and they're focused on them. They're busy working on their bucket list, their to-do list. They do feel compelled to lead if they're in a situation where they're not responsible for other people, but if they're in a group, I feel like a Capricorn would likely be like, right, this is what we should do, this is how we should do it, let's go. Honestly, I can't tell you much about a Capricorn. One thing I will say though is I feel like Capricorns wear their achievements as a badge of honor in one way, shape or form. If you know a Capricorn, have a look at maybe the walls in their bedroom. Do they have a lot of like framed achievements or certificates, or do they have a massive CV, or do they have a huge freaking bio on social media that says all of the stuff that they've done, something like that? I feel like that's a very Capricorn thing to do. Or everywhere they go, they tell people like, I've done this, I've done that, I've got so many stories, like I've got a lot of like crazy amazing things that has happened to me. They're not, I wouldn't say they're big-headed, I'm not saying that. It's more that they just have pride. I think pride's the right word. Leo. Lovely Leos. Fun, warming and inviting. I find it very hard to open up to people in general. I'm hermit energy. I like to isolate, but I do feel very weirdly comfortable very quickly around Leos, and I'm not quite sure why. There is something about their presence which makes you feel at home and at ease. I think it's because they're laid back people. Their energy is very like chill and vibey, so it makes it easy for you to like vibe that back. Leo is one of the only signs where the animal that represents them is so on point. I feel the same about Cancer as well, being the crab. They're little lions. They just wanna like be free and like rubbed and like to be groomed. Leos are quite easily pleased if you're just a bit of a butt lick, to be honest. They like they'd like it if you were to lick their ass, like bum lick a little bit, give them some head rubs and some strokes, and they're happy. They're like amazing. Or maybe feed them. Yeah, so that goes well with a Cancer, because Cancers will easily tend to a Leo. You will win the heart of a Leo if you can feed them, rub them, say nice things to them. I also find that because a lot of Leos are quite sure of themselves, because they are, I wouldn't say they're all confident, of course they can't be, but because they have a good idea of where they stand in terms of their style or their presence or their lifestyle or their preference, things like that. It is really comforting to me because it means that they are secure in who they are. It makes me feel like I won't be judged by them because, you know, insecure people tend to judge and bitch. And although a Leo can do a fair bit of bitching, I do feel like Leos can be a little bit bitchy. I ultimately just think that for them it just comes from a place of like knowing more information. They like to know things about people. They like to know the ins and outs of like other people's goss. It's the equivalent of watching like a TV soap, right? So yeah, like an Aries, a Leo is someone who I would call when I want to do something fun. And on that note, on my next star sign is Gemini. Geminis are also people I would call when I want to do something fun, but particularly when I want to go to a party or something that's quite social. I feel like a lot of people give them crap because they're two-faced. Libra can be very two-faced because they can see the other point of view, whereas Geminis can chop and change. I think they're here one minute and then they're here the next. Librans can step outside of a situation and look in, whereas a Gemini is right in the middle of a situation, changing their mind about what they believe is the right thing to do. But that's why they are one of the most fun signs of them all, because it's refreshing. As a Cancer who never changes at all, who's just stuck on one thing all the freaking time, it's refreshing to have someone come in and be like, woo, there's fun in not actually being stuck in the same perspective all the time, you know? I've always said Librans are really bad at making decisions. I feel Cancers are also really bad at making decisions, whereas I would say Geminis are the best at making decisions, but that's because they make them very quickly. Obviously that can mean that they might regret it later on, or they might change what they thought originally. But a bit like the Fool card in tarot, it makes me think of that sense of, what does it matter? We might be dead tomorrow. That's why you want to party with a Gemini, because they have that frame of mind of being like, tomorrow's not promised. Let's order 55 Jaeger bombs and hope that our heart doesn't give out. Absolutely social butterflies, unless they've got social anxiety or something. They like to gossip a little bit as well, I would say. I would say they like to know what's the talk of the town. Maybe a little bit more maliciously than a Leo, I must say. But I feel like that's actually because Geminis aren't as secure as a Leo. I feel like because typically Geminis can be like erratic, I suppose. They don't have like a firm structure under them. Which is kind of what they want, because if they did have a firm structure underneath them, they wouldn't feel as free to like do what they want when they wanted and chop and change and just like freely flow around. So because they have such like a airy way of living, I think that makes them more prone to gossip about other people who do have a very firm and set way of living, because it kind of fascinates them. They're like, wow, like this person is very this one way. I could never. Never a dull moment. Once again, Geminis are similar to Aries. You never really know what they're going to come out with. You never know what story they've got to tell you or what you're going to do when you hang out with them. They've got a really present way of seeing life. Like they just are the person who's like caught in the corner of the room like this. They are someone who might buy like really random stuff online, spending habits that can be a little bit like ruthless, fulfilling that need they have to gravitate towards like something new and exciting, because they don't like old and boring. They're like, ooh, look at this cool thing I found online, let's buy it, let's see what that's like, and then they move on to like the next thing. Their fascination with what other people are buying, they're probably someone who likes watching hauls. They like to analyze other people's behaviors, and on that note, when they see someone buy something, they'll kind of like glance over it and be like, that looks good, and they'll be like, I might get one of those. I would say a Gemini is the easiest person to influence. If you're a salesperson, anyone watching this video, just find a load of Geminis. Last but not least, Scorpio. Scorpios get a lot of crap, but I don't even know why. They're one of my favorites. I find them to be straight talking, and I think that's why. One of my favorite traits in human beings is people who can speak their mind. I love it, me, because I get anxious about what people are thinking about me. I don't know many Scorpios, to be honest, but I actually feel like that's probably because we're quite similar in that we don't necessarily need people. I feel like every Scorpio I've known doesn't mind their own company. Cancers don't mind their own company. Pisces don't mind their own company. Maybe it's a water sign thing. So they're little loners, really. I feel like Scorpios are likely to be gothic. A Scorpio in a relationship, they become more isolated than ever. I would say they like bubble up with their partner and they just enter a different realm with them, and you never will see that Scorpio ever again. Very stereotypical, I know, but they do have a sting. They will be like fine one minute and then like back to how they were the next. Obviously there are other star signs that do that too, but the difference with a Scorpio would be how unpredictable it is. But if you've known a Scorpio long enough, you can still predict, but the snap will still come like abruptly and then leave again. They just need to get out of their system. I feel like Scorpios, they have this like bar, and this is like pissed off, and this is fine, and they're like but you don't actually know that bar's rising to here until the boiling point, and they just go. But they have tunnel vision. I'd say once they've got something in their head, they're like, this just needs to be done. Like, they might struggle to be like a Libra in understanding other perspectives. I feel like they are very stuck in their own ways. A Scorpio would watch a documentary and be like, what an idiot. But why? Why are you living that lifestyle? So there we have it. Those are all the star signs. Let me know in the comment section what you honestly think about what I just said. Does some of it make sense to the people you know? Does it make sense to your own star sign? Is there anything you want to add that I haven't spoken about? Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like this video if this is something you want to see more of. I'm on social media such as Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. I've got a tarot reading Facebook page and a tarot reading Instagram if you want to book a tarot reading with me. Subscribe to this channel to be notified every time I make a brand new video. Bye guys, loads of love from my house to yours. Bye.